Call of Duty World at War begins on Makin Island on August 17, 1942. American soldiers are tortured to death by Japanese soldiers. Private Miller is about to be executed next, but he is saved by Corporal Rebuck and Sergeant Tom Sullivan, who silently sneaked on the enemies. After rescuing the prisoners, American soldiers perform a sudden strike on the base. They progress through the jungle, where they are constantly being ambushed by the enemies. They barely make it out alive and manage to reach the extraction point. Their next task is to take the airfield and cripple the enemy supply network. They approach the Peleliu beach and fight bravely to break through the Japanese lines. Miller destroys 2 Type 97 Chihad tanks with rocket strikes, allowing the American tanks to advance. At the end of the mission, Sullivan is killed by a Japanese officer with a katana performing a so-called banzai attack. Roebuck is promoted to sergeant, and he and his squad make their way through the Peleliu swamps to launch an assault on a Japanese-held airfield to disable anti-aircraft guns. The mission starts in the jungle. They come across a downed F-4U Corsair, which a group of Marines are examining and trying to remove the dead pilot from the plane. However, the pilot is wired with a booby trap and explodes, signaling a Japanese ambush consisting of well-camouflaged banzai chargers. After dispersing yet more enemies, Miller and the squad are out of the swamp and are faced with trenches, machine gun nests and bunkers. When they reach the airfield, they need to take down the AA crews to clear the sky for the reinforcements. Then the story switches to the Soviet campaign. September 17, 1942. Dmitry Petrenko, a member of the Red Army, awakes in a fountain located in Red Square in the city of Stalingrad. A German patrol goes by to execute the wounded Russians. Petrenko remains still, and he is not noticed. As the Germans move on, Petrenko begins to crawl forward. Turns out, he is not the only survivor. Viktor Reznov also managed to survive the massacre, and he tells Petrenko that he needs his help assassinating General Heinrich Amsel, who is responsible for many other massacres. Since his hand is injured, Reznov gives Petrenko his sniper rifle, a scoped Mosin Nagant. The two move to a spot in the fountain. Amsel soon arrives and enters the building while talking to another German soldier. Reznov explains that they cannot give away their location yet, or they will be overrun. The duo wait until German bombers are directly above them before Petrenko takes out the guards. Reznov and Petrenko get closer, but a German armored patrol arrives. The two sneak off into a nearby bar to find another way. Reznov tells Petrenko that Amsel inspects each German garrison every day, so he knows where he goes next. As they prepare to enter a building that will allow them to flank Amsel's route, a sniper fires on them. The bullet almost hits Reznov. They move upstairs, where Reznov distracts the sniper and creates an opportunity for Petrenko to take him down. Once the sniper is taken out, Reznov and Petrenko move downstairs, but one of the Germans patrolling the street gets suspicious and alerts the rest. Enemies use flamethrowers to burn the building, but Soviets manage to escape the flames and jump out of the building. Outside, Germans find Reznov and Petrenko, and they tell a soldier with a flamethrower to burn their bodies. Suddenly, bullets shoot out from a nearby building, killing the Germans. Russian soldiers arrive, surprised at how both men survived the massacre at the square. They inform Petrenko and Reznov that they are about to assault a German communications outpost to prevent Amsel from calling backup. Petrenko and Reznov provide sniper support. Once the communications building is secured, Reznov shows Petrenko's sniping position overlooking the German command post. The two reach the sniping position as German reinforcements slaughter their comrades on the street. Reznov decides not to engage, as he doesn't want to spoil their position until Amsel shows up. The plan works, and they manage to kill the general. Enemies, now aware of their position, attack the building, but Reznov and Petrenko jump from the window straight into the river and escape. The next mission takes place 3 years later during the Battle of the Seelow Heights near Berlin. Dmitry has been captured by German soldiers in an abandoned house, but is saved when the Red Army attacks the house. He is reunited with Reznov and introduced to his right-hand man, Private Chernov. The Soviet troops advance through German lines, and Dmitry aids them with a Panzerschreck, until they reach and wipe out a German camp. Reznov gives a victory speech telling his troops that now they are going straight to Berlin. So, let's switch to Private Miller. US soldiers keep pushing enemies further inland on Peleliu. Miller's squad takes out enemy mortar crews so the tanks can progress ahead. Then they go through Japanese underground tunnels to attack the artillery-filled point, one of the major Japanese strongholds literally dug in the rock that gives Japanese forces a perfect artillery spot on the sea coast. Miller manages to take it over. Back to Soviets, Dmitry and Reznov are driving a T-34 tank pushing through enemy lines until they reach a train that takes the troops to Berlin. At this point, Germans basically lost, but you know the story, fight till the end, till the last stand, etc., etc. We see Dmitry and Reznov arriving in the capital of Nazi Germany and jump from the train straight into the battlefield. The infantry is covered by tanks and they fight their way through the ruined city, showing no mercy for the enemy. They go through the streets and ruined buildings, taking the city square after square until they reach the core of evil, Reichstag. I would really like to appreciate the climate of this mission. I mean, not much story, not many of those fancy action cutscenes where you fall down from somewhere and barely make it alive. Just pure combat, simple, but so good. The way they designed this level and this game really gives you chills how this gameplay drags you in and raises the tension with so much going on everywhere you look. Sorry for breaking the storytelling, but I had to give it to the good old COD. Reichstag is always a cherry on the top of the cake. After eliminating a German position in the streets, Dimitr's unit reached the entrance to the Berlin U-Bahn, where 3 German soldiers were attempting to surrender. Reznov is unwilling to deny his men their revenge and gives Dmitry the choice of shooting them or burning them alive with a Molotov cocktail, since Germans did show any mercy back in Stalingrad. Once an artillery barrage begins, they head into the U-Bahn to avoid being shelled and start fighting German soldiers around the platforms until a surge of water fills the tunnel and Dmitry, unable to avoid the oncoming tidal wave and the plot cliffhangs, because the perspective is given back to the USA. Peleliu, remember, now since they took it, the Battle of Okinawa begins. Petty Officer Locke, in a PBY Catalina flying boat, takes part in a raid on 3 merchant ships. On their way back to base, another Catalina is destroyed. The US fleet is assaulted, replicating Operation Tango. Locke's PBY, the only PBY or plane near enough to come to immediate aid, works to rescue as many sailors as possible by fighting off Japanese PT boats and kamikaze planes. With the PBY almost completely destroyed, more US aircraft arrive and drive off the remaining Zeros. Back to Miller. His squad assaults Okinawa, clearing out the Japanese bunkers to allow tanks to progress. With the battle almost won, the Americans storm Shuri Castle amidst mortar shelling and massive banzai charges. Once inside, they encounter Japanese soldiers surrendering. However, when Roebuck and Polanski go to search them, they reveal concealed grenades under their clothes. At which point Miller is presented with the choice of saving either Roebuck or Polanski. The remaining American troops arrive to assist the squad and engage the remaining Japanese soldiers in a battle in the castle center. After Miller calls in air strikes on 2 buildings, the Americans take Shuri Castle, crushing the last bastion of Japanese resistance in the Pacific War. Back to Berlin, where Reznov drags Dmitry out of the U-Bahn, explaining that Germans flooded their own metro, hoping to drown the Soviet soldiers. Reznov gives Chernov the flag, and they join the raid on the Reichstag. They fight through the Reichstag square, destroying the 88 guns, and manage to break inside, though Chernov is killed on the way. Dmitry and the remaining Soviet soldiers enter the Reichstag, clear it of its German defenders, and reach the rooftop. After a final showdown on the top floor to reach the Nazi flag, Dmitry is shot by a dying German soldier in an attempt to stop him from planting the Soviet flag, but Reznov kills the German with a machete. Although wounded, Dmitry manages to plant the Soviet flag and symbolically ends the war. We see a newsreel stating that Germans surrendered. Then we also see archive footage of the atom bomb dropped on Japan and hear the speech of General MacArthur. And that's how the game ends.